So, good afternoon, good afternoon, good after evening, good morning, good any old time that you happen to be tuning in to see It's Naturally Nat. Well, it's a winter day again today, I'll tell you, and I've been busy doing some prep cooking and some stuff that's versatile that can go with many different things. And one of those kinds of things are what we're making today, and it's simply meatballs. Meatballs with a panade, the juiciest, best meatballs you could ever have, okay? I know it's very tempting to just go to the grocery store and get the frozen meatballs. I know that they sometimes go on sale, but they're really not a good bang for your buck, not these days anyway. So you can make your meatballs at home. Not only that, you can make them and then you can throw them cooked into a Ziploc bag. You know, I'm a big fan of the Ziploc bag freezer technique. Throw it in the freezer and make it into anything you want. I mean, meatball subs, ask BM about that. I make meatball subs with a barbecue sauce and onions and then cheese toasted under the broiler in the oven that are to die for. But that's not all. If you have homemade meatballs around in the freezer or that you can whip up, they can go with any pasta. Let's say all you have is spaghetti. That's all you have in your pantry, and you have a can of one of your favorite ragu or whatever your ragu that you happen to like. Grab a couple meatballs that you made out of the freezer. It now has gone from spaghetti, just plain old spaghetti, to spaghetti and meatballs, right? So you can make subs with them. You can submarine sandwiches with them. You can use them with pastas. They're endless, really. Italian meatball soup. In fact, I made a big thing of soup today, and I'm going to share some of it with one of my friends who's a huge meat eater. And so I told him I'd put meatballs in the soup because that's standard in that particular soup. And he's thrilled, okay? So you can use any kind of protein that you happen to have. So ground chicken, ground turkey, you could use ground hamburger, you could use venison, that's what I'm using today. And the reason why I'm making meatballs with this is I have this very small amount that I'm not really sure what to do with, and I thought meatballs, of course, what am I thinking, right? And plus, I'm all out of meatballs in the freezer. So let's go ahead and get started. What's a panade? Okay, you might have heard that before. Hey! You know who that is. Hey! Rosie, hold on. It's time for a disciplinarian move. No, that was me. Shh! Quiet. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Anyway, where were we? Oh, panade. So a panade is just a mixture of egg and or milk. You could use cream. And breadcrumbs. It gives the meatballs a loft so they're not super dense and icky. Because a lot of people have icky meatballs because they don't use a panade. So let's get started. I got about, I wouldn't even say this is a full pound of meat. I would say this is more like a half pound, okay? I'll put the recipe, my basic recipe in the show notes so you can make it. Had some not the best bread, and that works perfectly for panade. So this is 1.5 slices of not the best bread, kind of dried out. Perfect for this though. We'll put that into the bowl. We're also going to need some chopped onion. Now, you want to chop it pretty finely, right? Because you want the meatballs to stay together. And these are going to be smallish meatballs, right? That I'm going to make today. So, finely chopped onion. This is only maybe a quarter cup. You can do more, depending on if you love onion. If you watch enough of my show, you already know I love onion and garlic. I mean, come on, right? Then we're going to also add to the bowl this is shredded Parmesan that I went with a knife and went over to make it even finer. Okay, now why the Parmesan cheese? They make the meatballs along with the panade stay better together. They add seasoning, salt, okay, and they're just wonderful. It's a secret weapon, right? The parm, not the parm in the canister. That's either red or green, but shredded, and then run your knife through it, okay? So we're going to add that in just a second, but I'm going to go ahead and add 2 cloves of garlic. Now, you know I like my garlic powder, but I think in meatballs, you need the real McCoy. So I'm using a garlic press. I've had this for who knows how long, decades. There we go. Then you just take your knife, Super easy, okay? The seasonings that you're gonna want, I'm gonna do a little bit of pepper flake, black pepper, onion powder, because why not? Garlic powder, because of course. And your standard Italian seasoning blend, kosher salt. You're gonna need a pan, all right? This thing I got when I graduated from high school as a graduation present, seeing many dishes. And you're gonna need a cookie scoop, any size but smallish will do. I think this is a 1.5 inches, okay? So to make the panade, now in the bowl, you can see I have the dry ingredients over here, the bread, right? To make the panade, we need an egg. I had this one egg I had to get used up because it's getting a little old and I bought some new, okay? So go ahead and add your egg. If you have a little bit of cream, a tablespoon or 2 of that would be wonderful. I don't have that. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to incorporate the wet, okay, with the dry. This, using your hands best friend, is what's going to make it, the meatball have loft. I don't want to say fluffy, that's the wrong adjective, but loft, not a dense meatball. A dense meatball would be like eating a tennis ball. Who wants that? Okay? Then I'm going to incorporate it into the meat, into the other side, and the seasonings, and then form them. Let me wash the egg off my hand, and we'll add the seasonings next. I also have the oven preheated to 350, right? In fact, I have another dish that's going to come out in 3 minutes and 41 seconds. So the oven is totally preheated. Now the seasonings I just go by eye since I don't have a full pound of meat today. So I'm going to say about that much salt. I'm going to say 1/2 teaspoon-ish of this standard Italian seasoning, which has got like basil and oregano and all your heavy hitters there. Might even do a little bit more because it's fresh. I just bought it and it smells wonderful. Okay. Just a little bit of garlic. I know. Onion, I know, but powdered onion tastes different than fresh and I like it. Some black pepper, and I always go heavy with that. Then a pinch of red pepper flakes, which you can leave out if you don't like. I like them in. Okay? Now we're going to pull the panade into the meat with our fingers so we can make sure we don't overmix. You never want to overmix when you're doing any kind of ground meat type of deal. Whether you're making a meatloaf, meatballs, they don't say it enough on the cooking shows, but don't overmix. Okay? So you gently make sure that things are just incorporated. Okay? Give it a smell. It smells good. If it doesn't smell good, you probably need some pepper or some more garlic. Okay? So I'm not going to overmix. I'm just making sure that garlic gets broken up, what I put through the press, so somebody doesn't get an unwieldy big giant thing of garlic. Perfectly mixed. Okay? Then, let me get my hands up. Oh, I almost forgot the parm. Let's add that. And let's just do one quick through with that. Okay? Again, being conscious not to overmix. That's why it's important to have your mise en place, all your ingredients and your seasonings and everything out when you do this, because then if you forgot to put something in, you see that it's there and you're like, uh-oh, I forgot the parm, it's on the plate. Let me give my hands just a quick rinse, although I'm going to be handling the meat again, so really it's kind of somewhat redundant. We're going to go ahead and make these mini meatballs. Now, about like that, you want to get it kind of hefty, about like that. And then a little bit of a roll. Okay? Again, and a little bit of a roll. Don't know how much this is going to make. The panade, when you add that, is depending on how much panade you make. I used a piece of bread and a half of stale bread. Is obviously, along with the egg, going to, I'm keeping my eye on the oven because it's about ready to go off. It's going to extend your your meat, right? So if you're on a budget and you're like, oh man, I can only afford to get 1 pound of ground blah blah blah, whatever to store, ground chicken, ground turkey, ground beef, I gotta make that last, I gotta get 2-3 meals out of that. The panade, besides having a cooking function in it, you know, again to give it some loft so you don't have hockey pucks as meatballs. This is gonna go off, hold on just a minute. Let me go ahead and get that. That smells good. That's for a different video. Anyway, what were we talking about here before that went off? The panade. Oh, stretching the meat. So, yeah, the panade will stretch the meat. So maybe you could get, you know, 8 tacos out of that, 1-2 pounds of meat, and a small meatloaf that has a panade in it, or meatballs for the hoagies, or for spaghetti and meatballs. So you can stretch out that meat. So it's multi-functioning concept that actually I think is a French term, right? Panade. I think. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. Okay? So you just want to get somewhat uniform. I mean, a lot of people on the internet are big on those cooking scales, or weighing scales. Me, it's just another gadget, like Chris Kimball always says, just another gadget in my kitchen. So I just go at guesstimate, right? Like this wasn't enough to make a meatball, so I'm just looking at other little guys that could be made just a little bit bigger, and that's exactly what I did. So this made, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 meatballs, okay? So that could be 3 hoagie sandwiches for a meal for a supper and 1 oddball meatball. Or that could be spaghetti meatballs for a small family, or spaghetti meatballs for you if you're really hungry and you want to eat it all week long. Or like what I'm going to do is save a few of these for some soup for tonight. The rest are going to go in the freezer. Okay? So I'm going to pop this in the oven, 350. For, I'm going to say, keep in mind, I always say it, said it once, said it 1,000 times. I'm at a higher elevation, so I'm going to do mine at 25. You might have to do yours at maybe only 15, depending on also how big you make your eggs, or your meatballs, right? So give my meatballs a try. Check out the recipe that I'll put down below. Let me know what's your favorite kind of meatballs. Do you like beef meatballs? Do you like beef mixed with pork? If I had some pork, that would be mixed into the meatballs today. I love that. And then when you do have your meatballs, how do you like to eat them? Do you eat them with pasta? Do you eat them with spaghetti? Do you like to make a hero meatball sandwich? Or do you just like meatballs? Okay, wherever you're at, I'm hoping that you stay warm, you stay safe, you stay healthy and happy. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe down below to my channel. Hit the bell and you'll get notifications for when I upload a new video. I upload videos on Sundays, but I also do in the middle of the week too sometimes. So you want to be notified of what I have uploaded on my channel. So I'll see you next Sunday, and until then, you take care. Bye-bye.